Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to RRTV's exclusive coverage of the round two of Monday Night Lights here, coming to you live from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or more affectionately known as Mosport. Here tonight, joining me once again will be Tim Gorkrocher, and I'm your host, Alex McKellar. Of course, Timmy, the keys were left to the RRTV commentary booth under the mat once again. Bernie's left us looking after the place for him again, mate. Really excited to be here. How are things shaping up for you?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. It is gearing up to be a killer night of motorsport. A lot of good drivers have shown up this week, and we're in for a classic, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Should be a fantastic night tonight. I'm pleased to tell you, folks, that we have taken out the top strength of field for the week by some margin. We're currently sitting just shy of 3,800 strength of field. Strength of field, of course, is iRacing's representation of the caliber of the overall caliber of the drivers here tonight. And just we're sitting at 39.77, which blitzes the rest of the field. So thank you goes out, a big thank you indeed goes out to all the drivers who've shown up here tonight. We've got 15 top Skippy drivers out here ready to put on a good show tonight, Tim.
Yeah, as I said, mate, just going to be phenomenal. Just to rattle off a couple of names: Dennis Johansson, Sammy Toykala, Luke Witten, Tim Hendrickson, just to name a few. Enzo, of course, last week's winner at Lime Rock, really gave everyone a bit of a schooling. And he's done well in a couple of races this week already, as has DJ, Dennis Johansson. So, look, the quali's just gotten underway, and we are in for a classic.
Yeah, absolutely. And great to see another Monday Night Lights favourite, Matthew Thomas, who's really strong in the skips. Haven't seen him for a while. Great to see him back on track here tonight. Just see if I can find him. Yeah, he's just set his first lap out there. Fantastic to see Matthew back. He usually puts on a great fight. I can remember some great battles between him and Enzo in the past. So it'll be interesting to see how that one shapes up.
Yeah, and don't let the C rating license fool you. Pretty high I rating for young Matt Thomas there, and his first lap, minute 32.0, puts him around ninth in the field so far, but expect a really good second lap out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. 4400s, they don't give that sort of I rating away for free, so he's earned that along the way. And like I said, great to have him back. Series favourite Luke Witten here. Previous season, well, not last season, of course. Last season's winner's here with me in the booth tonight, folks, providing expert commentary. But Luke's no stranger to winning these sorts of events. Having taken out these sorts of races, the 2K Cup event winner, of course, at least one race there, and Australasian Super Skips, of course, he's been a multiple times champion there. So he's currently sitting in P5 after his opening lap, and if I grab a look at how he's going at the moment there, he's chasing Enzo. Well, the field's chasing Enzo at the moment. He's about half a second off on his first lap, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes on this second lap as he's approaching the line now. Let's see if he can improve on that lap. He's done a 31.3, so that's a big improvement for Luke. Still 2/10 off Enzo, but certainly bumps him up to second, although he's just been pipped by Dennis Johansson, who's crossed the line as well there, Tim.
Yeah, Dennis coming through with a very good second lap, as was Sammy T. But the surprise packet, Ben Snell, car number 7 for this race, bumps up with a 131.225. Just a tiny fraction of a second off of Dennis, and less than 2/10 off Enzo.
He's done
P4 is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Just
he's
fantastic.
absolutely. Ben's done a fantastic job there. I'm just riding on board with Sammy now that Ben's gone back into the pits. Ben jagged a beautiful pole in the preceding race to this one with some big names in there too, including Dennis, who's just in front of him now. Sammy's out there now, looking like he's pulling it up as well. Done his 2 laps, happy with fourth, and quite frankly, why wouldn't he be? It's a strong field to rock up fourth in. Dennis Johansson's now finished his laps. Enzo looks as though he might be just getting the rub of the green, so to speak, or seeing what it's looking like out there as he runs some cool down laps. Speaking of what it's looking like out there, folks, why don't we take a look at where we're at tonight? We're in Canada, of course, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Mostly cloudy out there. Air temp's 21.9. Track temp's a little bit more than that. We'll have a look at that in a sec, with a slight breeze coming from the south. So really good conditions there for the guys out there to race strongly tonight, Tim.
Yeah, it should be some very close racing, and the Murray and Andretti straightaway. Big long straight between turns 7 and 8, and ample passing opportunity, but it does veer around to the right. So if you protect the line, I mean, I've seen so many battles this week, 2-car, 3-car wide going into turn 8 and 9, the S's, and it just makes for some phenomenal racing. So really excited for what tonight's going to bring, and the field is just so hot. 3,900 strength of field, as you said, should be outstanding racing.
Yeah, looking forward to it, mate. As you see Leon Rudinger. Apologies if I've got your name wrong, Leon. Just coming around. Not sure if he's just running down a cool down laps, getting the feel for it. Yeah, it looks like he hasn't improved, if anything else. And while the guys are just doing that, why don't we take a look at the lineup tonight as they finish their qualifying? Let's just find that one. There we go. The grid tonight. Previous season's champion and last night's race winner, Enzo Cantor on pole, followed by Dennis Johansson returning for another welcome edition of Monday Night Lights. Those two will be certainly looking to renew some battles they've had in the past. Ben Snell, a bit of a surprise, but certainly on the improve. To see him up there in P3 in this sort of field's fantastic. Congratulations, Ben. Sammy, and I struggle with Sammy's name. I apologise, Sammy. Toykala. Oh, I'm so sorry, mate. I know Sammy personally, and I always butcher his name. He's in P4. Luke Witten, Australian favourite here in P5. Tim Hendrickson coming all the way from the Netherlands to join us here. Tim's been racing outstandingly well in the last couple of seasons. It's great to see him here, coming out especially from Monday Night Lights. P7 now, Zima Peter joins us tonight for the first time that I can recall. Daryl Ridley, local hope again in P8. Great pace from Daryl tonight. Matthew Thomas, we spoke about earlier, he's managed to hang on to P9. Samuel Collins, Monday Night Lights regular in P10. Leon Rudinger, we were just watching him cool down before. He's car number 4 in this field, so and a really strong rating of around 4,400, so he'll be one to watch, see if he can't work his way through the field. Kevin Henderson, another Monday Night Lights stalwart there, made it in tonight, managed to qualify P12. I saw Kevin take out an earlier race today, so he'll be one to watch there all the way back in P12. James Keane, coming back from last week, had a great performance last week, qualifying in P13 tonight. Andrew Carroll from UK and Ireland in P14. Jason Willman, along with Kevin Henderson, two of the absolute stalwarts of Monday Night Lights, rounding out your top 15. What an action-packed grid it looks like we've got tonight, Tim.
Yeah, as I said, it's just going to be a classic, and it's not a... It's a track that gives you plenty of passing opportunities through turn 2 into the entry of turn 3, Clayton through to Quebec. And of course, Moss is an exceptionally well-known corner. Down the hill through the double apex hairpin and then back up the hill as you begin the back straight of the track. So it's going to be just a ripper.
Should be awesome tonight. Now, just taking a look at the conditions for tonight. Of course, we're at Mosport. 16 laps tonight, around just shy of 4 kilometres. Track temp's a little bit warmer at 28 degrees on track. Should make for some interesting times in the 31s, maybe ducking into the high 30s. We'll interesting to see how these guys crack it out there for a lap tonight.
Yeah, that's a good run down the back straight, probably gains you, 3, 4, 5 tenths. And if you can get through turn number 8 without being impeded by the person that you went to pass, you're in for an absolute cracker of a lap. So excited to see what this place brings, and as I think we're about to go green.
Yeah, green, and we're away, and we're racing hard again tonight into turn 1 now. Enzo coming across the line there, looking to defend strongly from Dennis Johansson. We were noting before, Dennis is pretty strong and aggressive in these opening parts of the races when he's not qualified up the front, but right now he'll be looking to secure his position there as everyone gets through the opening sortie quite well, it has to be said. No action at the back so far, although I think I'm missing the sound. There we go. Sorry, folks, we're back in there now.
Yeah, disappointing start, to be honest. We like a bit of activity, but everyone's got through unscathed as they come down the hill into the right-hander. It all looks pretty line astern. I'd say the draft is from 1st to 15th.
Yeah, everyone in one big packet, it has to be said. Apologies, everyone, for the rookie mistake. That's my rookie mistake for this week. No sound for the qualifying. Sorry, folks, you just happened to listen to me, Tim Babylon. Here a bit of nose-to-tail action through the Moss hairpin for the first time. Everyone seems to have made it through okay, though.
Yeah, a bit of too wide action towards the back. It's, as Enzo weaves to the right, Dennis going around the outside, moving into through the back straight and up to the... We'll see what happens as we enter that complex, but it's looking pretty exciting.
Yeah, it looks like Luke Whitten going 2x2 with Ben Snell. Enzo Cantor 2x2 with Dennis Johansson. Dennis going around the outside there through the S's there, inside to the second to last corner. 2x2 they go. Both of them wanting to lead from the front. Enzo, he's hard man to pass once he's in the front. He's a good leader. Dennis will make him work every bit for his money tonight there today.
Yeah, Willie does love the elbows out racing, but that's what it's about. But those two working through the SS complex and through turn 10 gave each other plenty of room. It is lap 1. We've got 16 here tonight, and you know, no need to push too hard too early. Those two, they're smart drivers, experienced drivers, and they'll work together.
Absolutely. Look, this looks to me like there's a front pack of 6 potentially finishing with Tim Hendrickson there, looking to make a break. Zima Petter just behind them may be struggling to hang on. Daryl Ridley just making a move on him. And they're now almost out of the draft, 9-10. So they're going 2x2 into Moss for lap 2. Daryl sneaking in under the inside. Will that compromise his exit and run onto the straight and cost him the draft? That's the question.
Just a small bit of contact for the 5 Sammy Twekala into the back of Ben Snell in through the Moss double apex hairpin. Tim Hendrickson making the move on Sammy now as his run up the back straight was compromised.
Yeah, he's also in the draft of Ben Snell. They are now 6/10 behind that lead 3. Might be 2 groups of 3 forming here, depending on how they navigate here. But once again, Enzo Cantor and Dennis Johansson both fighting for that lead. 2x2 through this final complex. You can work it with really good drivers. You can, both running wide there, bringing Luke right and the other 3 behind him right back into it. The boys might like their racing, but that's going to cost them time.
Yeah, it is, and Enzo gets right up behind Dennis through the exit of turn 10. Don't know how they didn't come together. Got out of the throttle, and Luke Whitten, who got a good run out of 10 through the front straight, was weaving to the riders in that Enzo blocked the line. But down through turn 2, the left-handed down the hill, easy to run off track here. Pop a wheel onto the grass and get a bit sideways through the entry, and it's surprising how steep it is. You'd think, you know, it's pretty straightforward left-hander. Not the case. Easy to get sideways, easy to take it too fast, and cost yourself a whole lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Off camber there. And interesting to note, in real life now, they've concreted the outside there. It's no longer grass, but in iRacing now, you get a toe out there and she's gonzo. You're lucky to pull it up before you hit the wall. Seen a few guys hit the wall there. Tim Hendrickson checking up behind Luke Whitten there through the Moss hairpin and for lap 3. He did a good job of pulling it up there without contact. But this front pack of 6 now, they've got a 1.3 second gap over Daryl Ridley, who's holding up a fast-running Samuel Collins and Zima Petter. These guys going 3 wide up the straight. Interesting to see how they shape.
Exciting viewing, isn't it? Where will they come out? Who's going to break? Because we do know 3 wide doesn't work through turn number 8.
No, I just got my eyes on them now. Looks like, who's that up the Samuel's on the outside there. Peter Zimmer's on the inside there. Daryl thinking better of it, thinking to survive for a better fight to come, perhaps. Jumping back up the front now. We've still got this front pack of 6. As predicted, 2 wide now. Looks like Tim Hendrickson's going 2 wide through turn 1 with Ben Snell. They managed to straighten it out okay. And I tell you what, it's tight up front, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it? But it's still Enzo when Dennis hanging on the first and second. And as I said, those two, they'll work together. They want to gap the rest of the field. And if you can't, I mean, if you're going to keep going 2 wide into turn 8, you're never going to get the gap you want, is what it's going to come down to. As Tim Hendrickson slots it up the inside of Ben Snell for 4th position, and Ben's run in the wheel in the dirt over the ripple slip strip as Sammy T looks like he's going to make a move around the outside.
Sorry, mate, I've just cut back to a replay. Old mate Zima Petter, he got into the side with Samuel Collins through turn 1, and he's binned it on the outside there. Unfortunately, I think they tried to make that 3 wide there through turn 1, and as we go back to live pictures now in the front, it was never going to work. Shame for Zima Petter on his first night out at Monday Night Lights.
Yeah, it is a shame as we've got, looks like Leon Rudiger with some damage. Coming through Moss. I assume he had some contact, but he's gone into the pits waiting for the tow and then the fast repair to get back out there. Unfortunate for Leon tonight.
Yeah, no, he's definitely sitting in the pits there. I'll see if we can come back to that one later. As we jump back up to the front, Enzo Cantor now putting pressure. They didn't go 2x2 there. They've actually broken into a pack of 4 now, with Tim Hendrickson doing really well. He was sitting on the back of that pack of 6. He's now in P4, right in behind Luke Witten there, and them in turn behind Enzo and Dennis Johansson. Ben Snell and Sammy, they've dropped off the back there, perhaps through some side-by-side action that we missed, but they're now struggling to stave off a fast-charging Darryl Ridley, who's well within the draft, and he's bringing Samuel and a whole bunch with him. Kevin Henderson, Matthew Thomas, and James Keane almost hanging on the back there to make that one very large and racy pack.
Ben runs very wide, trailing Sammy through turn number 3. Fortunate to not put a wheel in the dirt. It would have spelt the end of his night for sure. But you're right, that second pack, 6 cars deep now, and it's getting exciting mid-pack, that's for sure.
Yeah, look, this track can breed that sort of racing, you know. It can breed a couple of guys racing up the front, or it can breed half a dozen like we're seeing here tonight. Speaking of which, jumping back up the front, we've got a nice racy pack of 4 here. Might jump on the nose of Luke Witten here. He's pulling side by side. I'll hop back out and see what we can see there.
I'm not going to see much. Luke running on the outside, trying to go around the outside of Enzo through turn 8. Dennis pops the nose up there. Looks like he might get through. Very sideways though. Tim Hendrickson needs to check up just to not go over to the back as he goes around the outside of Luke through turn 9. Careful not to come together. Both have to be careful on the exit of 10 as Tim Hendrickson makes a very clean move past Luke Witten.
Yeah, he's done pretty well there actually. That was some tight racing there for the 4 of them. They've all come through unscathed, and they've still got nearly a 3-second lead now from Ben Snell, who's sitting behind them with another racy pack there of half a dozen cars, shaping up for a really spectacular race as they come through turn 2 now. They're on lap 6, balance of 11 remaining. Plenty of action still to come here at Mosport.
Yeah, it's really turning into a bit of a cracker as Luke gets a poor run out of turn 3. Tim Hendrickson pulls a bit of a gap. They want to close that up through the downhill left-handed coming into the double apex at Moss to get a good run onto the back straight. Looks like Enzo's still in the lead though. It's a funny little right-hander that Moss. The Moss corners, you really want to get a good run.
Yeah,
the straight, and it's a tough double apex. You know, it's really easy to to gain some time on the entry, but the straight is so long that if you're not getting a really good clean run, it's just going to cost you time at the end.
Yeah, you're 100% right. The issue there for Luke also is that the front guys will get the effect of the draft, and it's actually exaggerated from the guy who's the distance who's about where he is, although Enzo and Dennis look to be making it a bit easier for him, going too wide once again at the end of the Andretti straight. They've straightened out single file now, but Luke's at real risk of being dropped here. If he puts together some tidy corners in the first part of that, as he runs wide on exit of the final corner there, really trying to use every bit of the track and more to hang on to this front group. He's back to within half a second now, so he seems to be okay. It all depends on how he attacks that Moss hairpin, as you say.
And I'd almost go as far as to say that off track over the front straight was a bit strategic to pick up a tenth or so as he made a good entry to turn 1 and got through there cleanly. In the gap now looks like about 5/10, so up to 4/10, 5/10 he's back well and truly in the draft, and a good run through these next couple of corners should see him in good stead to make a move on the back straight.
Yeah, 100%. There's another group fighting in behind them, led by Sammy there. Car number 10, he's got a pack of half a dozen or so behind him as they duck into the Moss hairpin now as well, as the leaders just go by in the background. Again, line astern there through that pack. That's looking pretty racy, it has to be said. Riding on board with Darryl Ridley at the moment. Maybe we'll hop on board with Darryl, a bit of gyro work again, see what he makes of this back straight here. He's working really hard here. Notice his iRating's up a bit from what it has been in previous seasons. In recent times, he's doing pretty well this season, and looking to make every post a winner here now. Going too wide with Samuel Collins there, car number 9, as they head through the S's on the tail end of lap 7.
Yeah, I'm just sitting on board. Hendo behind him, got a view of 4 cars in front. Hendo likes to race close, likes to get the elbows out, and I'm sure he'll be biding his time on the right opportunity, the right chance to make a move past Darryl, Sam, and move forward up to Sammy and Ben Snell sitting in 5th.
Yeah, really racy pack there, as we might jump back up to the front and see what's going on up there. riding on board with Enzo at the moment, who's really got a strong charging Tim Hendrickson right on his tail. We'll hop back on board with, perhaps we'll hop on board with Tim if we can get a look there. Tim sporting the very patriotic colours of the Netherlands, where he hails from. Been doing some really quick racing in recent seasons, putting all sorts of pressure all over Enzo at the back of him here. Really interesting to see how he pulls up. You can just see how complicated that run through the Moss hairpin is there. Sterling Moss, of course, it's named after. He was here with the track designers when they built the place. He's saying, you know, just make that into a double apex right-hander there. Put the crowds on the outside of the corner. It'll make for spectacular racing, spectacular viewing, all of which we're seeing here tonight, Tim.
Yeah, no, it is. And I had a look at some of the track pictures earlier, and you're right, it is a really, really nice complex. Exciting racing. Doesn't really provide a passing opportunity, though. It's difficult to wash off the speed from the downhill section and make it through the corner. Two abreast is almost impossible. And obviously, you know, you take a narrow entry into Moss, and it really does compromise your run up the back straight.
Just cutting you off there, mate. We've got Luke Witten on the outside of the second last corner, really getting squeezed by Hendrickson. The two of them make a little bit of contact. Luke runs wide as a result, costs him positions. He's certainly off the back of that pack, and hopefully he hasn't suffered any damage. Case of two cars don't go into one spot there by the looks of it. So hopefully Luke can continue on from there as we run back to live pictures now. That is now a pack of three. Luke Witten off the back, 1.2 seconds. Now, you and I watched the previous race. We saw Luke under similar circumstances able to claw his way back to get onto that front pack. We're interested to see how Dennis and Enzo race this, and if they want to make it a race in three or potentially two, or if they're willing to battle it out and get Luke back into this. So it'll be interesting to see how they play it out, Tim.
Yeah, you're right. And I think the last race, Luke found himself in a similar spot, but earlier in the race, and certainly with 5, 6, 7 laps to go, time is not on his side. But we know he's a bit of a battler, and he'll work hard to bridge the gap, which is around 1.5 seconds as we work down the back straight. Yeah,
watching Dennis and Enzo now going too wide is probably playing into his hands a bit. Depends on if they stick at it all through this final 10A, B and 11 complex. It's too wide still as they go into the left-hander. No, they straighten up there. Enzo showing that you can do it around the outside of that penultimate corner and still get it done. Hendrickson now all over the back of Dennis Johansson as we hop on board. Oh no, it's probably a bit late now. Let's see what it looks like from his nose. It's all right. He's we're riding on board with Tim Hendrickson now. He's right up the nose here. We might stay with him all the way through the apex of the Moss hairpin here. See what it looks like. Gyro might do us a bit more favours actually. If I can get it to hop on board. Come on, get there. It's a bit sluggish tonight. I might restart it in a sec. Yeah, it doesn't want to play nice, so we'll stick on board here. Watch him go through the hairpin there and see what comes of it.
Yeah, just looking, Luke doesn't really look to have made any impact on that gap, but it is so difficult for him with an off track running through Moss. Gets the left side of the car well and truly across the dirt. Has to check up. It's going to be virtually impossible in my opinion unless something happens at the front. Obviously Enzo and Dennis are working, both of them want to lead, and that's obviously not going to happen. It's not going to really help them generate any lap speed as Dennis goes around the outside of Enzo. And I expect to see these two go too wide into turn 8 again.
Yeah, absolutely. They're keeping us entertained there while I try and get my cameras sorted. This thing's died. Unfortunately, we're stuck on board with Tim, although we're getting some good action in the moment, so it's well worth watching. But hopefully we'll be back. Oh, as Enzo very wide there. Dennis putting all sorts of pressure on him as we continue on here from the eyes of Tim Hendrickson.
Yeah, Tim's he's in a pretty good position. Third place, nice area to be at the moment. As Enzo made a mistake coming onto the start-finish line. Block to the right, expecting Dennis to chuck it up the inside, going through turn 1. But I expect he's waiting for these two just to make a mistake, sit back a few tenths, see what happens, and bide his time waiting for the opportunity to pass around the outside in the last lap or two.
Yes, well, while that's been going on, the pack behind them is still pretty angry there. It's Ben Snell on the front of that one by the looks, or no, Sammy's still on front there. They've got a tiny little gap there to Samuel Collins. Nothing that the upcoming straight won't sort out for him though. But still a pack of 6 or so there, fighting for that last spot in the top 5 there, Tim.
And surprised that it's not a bit more elbows out. Plenty of points on offer tonight. Lots of I-rating for those who finish in the sort of, top 5, 6, 7 places. And this group that goes back to position 8, brought up the back by Darryl Ridley. Surprisingly, for that far back in the field, only 8 seconds off the lead. So Sammy T up the front, 6.4 behind Enzo, thereabouts. And Darryl just under 8 seconds. So they're working surprisingly well together. Less than 2 seconds separating that whole group of 6 cars. And nothing silly going on, which is good to see. And hopefully in the next couple of laps, a few moves, and we can bring an exciting end to the race.
Yeah, 100%. It just goes to show you the calibre of the field, really, doesn't it? When you look at that far deep in the pack, they're still racing line astern, and I'm sure plenty of our viewers tonight will be wishing they were out there and experiencing that type of racing. Well, the good news is, folks, you can do that each and every week in the Skip Barber series, and certainly on a Monday Night Lights. We run this series using the official iRacing season races, 9:15 Australian Eastern Time on a Monday night. You can come in and join the action, maybe get your mug on the telly as well. So looking at the racing up front that continues, pack of 3 now. Luke Whitten really dropped off now. He's sitting about 1.8 seconds behind this pack, and I don't know whether he copped any damage from that, but certainly looks like his competitive night for the podium's out, and it's down to these 3 at the front. Dennis Johansson currently leading, Enzo Cantor sitting in P2s. He makes a run now on Dennis on the outside there of the Andretti straight there. Tim Hendrickson sitting in the box seat watching these guys go too wide in front of him. Dennis just tucking him behind. No point racing with the balance of 5 laps remaining. Just the 4 laps as they cross the line now. Tell you what, Tim, tonight I might even try and catch the winner crossing the line.
Well, if it's Enzo, he's going to be happy as he does the wiggle if he gets the win. But interestingly, Alex, Luke Whitten putting together some fast laps now, and that deficit's coming down. Did his fastest lap, a 1:30.2 a little earlier, and a 1:30.5 followed up by a 1:30.9. So the gap now behind Tim Hendrickson is 1.4 seconds.
Yeah, that gap closed up as Tim Hendrickson made a bit of a blue coming out of the final corner there, ran it in the dirt, and I think now we're probably, depending on if Tim can hang on through this series of corners onto the back straight, down to a racing 2 between the top 2 drivers in this field, potentially, although Tim's actually rated number 2, so I should say that the cream is certainly rising to the top 1, 2 and 3, but Enzo and Dennis, perhaps the more recognised and senior drivers in this field. Dennis closing right up on the back there. We might hop on board the nose with him and see what that looks like. As he goes on the side there, gyro might be better. No, I think we're back to TV view here because they're spreading out. Enzo going the very wide line on the outside. What's your strategy here, Tim, to win this one? Do you want to be in front on the last lap, or do you want to use that draft and slingshot past?
I think you want to use the draft and slingshot past, and I was having a good think about it before, and I only had one race during the week, and that strategy worked for me against Tim Hendrickson, and that was to pass around the outside, or attempt to pass around the outside at turn 8, take the inside line through 9, and then around the outside through turn 10. And the driver on the inside of turn 10 can't afford to go too wide because they'll force you off track, you risk contact and so on. So I think the strategy is to enter the back straight on the last lap in 2nd position, make the move around the outside, and hopefully cross the line first after some good clean running through the last few corners.
Yeah, absolutely. It's look, it's top night out at this track, to be honest. It's not the most popular track going around. I think it's mainly because people don't own it necessarily, rather than it cops a bad rap, because it's a great fun track to drive around. A lot of strategy there. And you look, if I was asked to ask myself the same question, I'd say either way, to be honest. We had a great race during the week. I had a great race with Luke Whitten. We were going for the final 2 spots on the podium, and we ran 2x2 through that final series of corners as you described, and I was actually on the inside of the corner at the end of the Andretti straight, the sweeping right hander that the 2 leaders are coming up to now. ran it round the outside of the penultimate corner and just punched it on that apex of the final corner and took out that position. To me, you know, it says you can do both. You can go either side through there, and it's really what you're more comfortable doing and how comfortable you are running side by side with the guy beside you. Now, we know these two guys are going to be really racing hard to the finish. It's just going to be how well they can control their cars and how much they're willing to put it on the line.
Yeah, no, that's right. And, you know, Dennis is extremely keen, is an aggressive driver, keen to run close and tight. Try and force you into making an error, but he's certainly up to the task. So I'm interested to see what that's going to bring next lap round as we enter lap 15. Interestingly, before entry to Moss, Tim Hendrickson got all sorts of crossed up, allowed Luke Whitten to pull in the second or thereabouts gap that he had over Luke, and Luke slotted past on the back straight.
Yeah, it looks like Luke's well and truly back in for the podium. I'd say they don't have enough time with 1.5 laps remaining to get in the race for first and second, but they're certainly in amongst it for themselves. Now, if I look back, that pack that's still being led by Sammy sitting behind them in P5 is still all together, still really racy, although they've dropped off the back there.
Sammy Collins got caught up. He got a clip in the back through turn 4 from Hendo, pushed him a little bit sideways, and actually, to be honest, he was checked up by Ben Sneller's. Ben got some drift practice in, but unlucky for Sam. I think he clipped the wall, but so he's fallen to the back of that group, not quite into the hands of James Keane, who's a further 5 seconds behind at the moment. But unlucky for Sam, was having a great race, and that third pack now is down to 5 cars.
Yeah, interesting for James Keane. He got 3rd place, if I'm not mistaken, last week. Interesting to see the difference between what two weeks and 2 tracks can make. You know, he's not had the run of the rub of the green here tonight, and he's sitting all the way back here in P13 out of the Monday Night Lights points at the moment. But he's certainly racing with Andrew Carroll and Jason Willman to see if they can't grab a few points in the Monday Night Lights Championship. Of course, we score all the way down to P12 in the top 3 splits here at this race here tonight. Jumping back up near the front, Tim Henderson, Luke Whitten on the final lap now, positioning and jockeying for that strategic finish. Dennis Johansson now in Tim Gorkroch's preferred position. What's he going to do as he runs up the straight here? He's going to sit behind here on the approach to the Moss hairpin, and let's see what he can do with his run out, eh?
I don't think it's going to get too close. I think 2 to 3 tenths is the ideal place. Won't get right up under the nose. He's going to line up that exit perfectly, as he does. Wheel over the right up onto the ripple strip. 2 tenths behind now. He's going to get a great run. Will he take it up the inside or around the outside? Enzo moves across to protect the line. Dennis still trying to maintain the draft. It's going to be difficult for him to get all the way past because Enzo did a great job protecting the draft as they come quite close in the middle of the track, but they're certainly going to go too wide through turn 8, 9 and 10. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out in front.
Enzo taking the inside line, certainly my preferred line through this series of corners. He's got out in front, no. Dennis up the inside, wheel to wheel.
Just a wheel touch.
A little bit of a wheel touch. Jeez, that's good car control. Enzo, he's got the better drive out, but can Dennis come back up the outside there? Too close to call. Who's got it? I think Enzo might have just hung. Yeah, Enzo just hang on there for the finish there. If I look, as Luke Whitten's picked up P3, just holding off Tim Hendrickson, who probably disappointed. There's a wiggle we just caught in the background. A couple of busted engines going on now. Just trying to find what people crossing the line, all the stragglers coming through. What a finish to that race, though. I'll see if I can go back at some stage and find just how close that was, but the telemetry says it was just a 1/10.5, which is pretty close in these cars.
Yeah, no, it was a very exciting finish. And to be honest, Enzo proved me wrong. He had the inside run through turn 8, had very good drive through that corner, and it's difficult to get the thing turned in and keep your foot pinned to the floor so that you maintain the speed you need through turn 9. So I'm sure Dennis will be pretty disappointed, but he had a killer race with Enzo all race long. Those two battled the entire way. Luke Whitten in P3 just ahead of Tim Hendrickson, and Ben Snell coming up in 5th ahead of Sammy, and those two ended up getting a small gap on Daryl, Kevin, and so it looks like we wound up with 5 packs. Ben and Sammy, Daryl and Kevin, and Sam Collins, who was caught up earlier, and he finished pretty closely with Matt Thomas.
Yeah, I'm just riding on board with Dennis Johansson as they ran through that final series of corners. Their little wheel-to-wheel contact through on the approach to the penultimate corner in between 10B and the final corner just allowed Enzo to run through, get the run into the final corner, and yeah, look, clear winner on the line was young Enzo. So great job by the pair of them.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, it's difficult to go through there, and the car on the inside of each corner risk, trying to maintain the speed to keep the advantage, but you really risk drifting out that tiny bit. And as I said, having an incident. They were lucky. I think just reading the chat, both got a 0x for the contact, which kind of suggests a bit of net code, but they certainly came together. Fortunate that both came off scot-free, and Enzo very, very, very good drive to get the win tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the win, why don't we take a look at the full results here tonight, folks? We've got Enzo Cantor taking out another round here at Monday Night Lights. Great race there between him and Dennis in the end, who's finished in a close second position. Luke Whitten coming back from some adversity there to finish in the final spot on the podium. Tim Hendrickson showing again that he's having a great season. He's finished in P4. Great to see him out here tonight for Monday Night Lights. Ben Snell showing some great chops here. He's really on the improve, isn't he, in P5 there. Sammy Toikala, sorry Sammy, he's in P6. Daryl Ridley, great result for Daryl. He's struggled with consistency in the last few seasons. Great to see him having a good finish here tonight in P7. Kevin Henderson, he's come home in P8 after what looked to be an eventful closing to the race. Samuel Collins as well in P9. Matthew Thomas, I was expecting a good run from Matthew here tonight. Haven't seen him here for a while, and perhaps lack of time in the car might have hurt him here tonight. He's down in P10. Jason Willman did a fantastic job, up 4 spots into P11. James Keane, last week P3, excuse me, this week in P12. Quite a difference that a week can make. Going on from there, we had Andrew Carroll in P13, Leon Rudinger in P14, and Zimmer was our only retirement for the evening, finishing in P15. Tim, what a bag of results that was.
Yeah, no, that's as we said, classic race. Plenty of good battles throughout, not too much contact, which is nice. But you mentioned James Keane, just looking, his best lap time was about 8/10 off of those of the leaders. I think if you did a 1:30.5, 1:30.6, you'd be really happy. James not quite managing that. And for me, the only thing that suggests is didn't get a whole lot of track time this week. The Moss corner in particular, Moss hairpin, leading up to the back straight, if you don't have that absolutely nailed, it's going to cost you oodles of time. So unlucky for James, but I'm sure he'll be back next Monday night. With a bit of practice under his belt and keen to make amends.
Yeah, 100%. Look forward to seeing him there as well. It was great to have him here both weeks. We had a chat to him in the booth after the race as well last week, so look forward to seeing him back next week. Now, speaking of chats, we have our race winner sitting in the green room. We'll bring him up and say good day to Enzo. Enzo, Alex McKellar here in the RRTV commentary booth, mate. Congratulations on a great result once again. I think I managed to catch a glimpse of a wiggle here tonight. Looks like you had some fun out there, mate. How was the racing?
Hi, guys. Thank you. Yeah, I did my wiggle, but I did it after the T1 after finishing the race, because I was not thinking at all to the wiggle, but to win the race. It was a very, very difficult and stressing race. Dennis is very fast and aggressive. We had a little talk together yesterday. We talked about how it could be this race today, and I knew he prepared well the race. He was wishing for a first row qualifying. He did it, so I knew it could be every lap in my gearbox, and he will try to pass me every lap, but I don't care, because I didn't care, because I like the fight and I like the battle. I know that Dennis is very aggressive, but also fair and clean. And I had very much fun today racing with him. And I could finish in second, and it will be great too.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I thought the racing between you up front was between you and Dennis up front was fantastic. You know, that really culminated in that final series of corners where you're side by side as you'd been so many laps previously, particularly at the start of the race. But then so side by side, there was that tiny little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there, but both of you showing such great car control to hang on to it and go on through to the finish, just split by a hair's breadth at the finish, mate. Really impressive drive tonight, so congratulations once again. I'll hand you over to our expert commentator, Timmy G, to get his thoughts on the evening.
Yeah, great job tonight, Enzo. Fantastic race. The only thing I probably picked up was you and Dennis weren't as prepared as what I thought you would be to work together. You know, like allowing Dennis to pass on the back straight and he allowing you the next lap. And that really allowed Tim and Luke to kind of, you know, stay within. I think you had better pace than them all race, but it allowed them to keep in touch.
I was, you know, in this track you can work together with one driver, but the draft is too much. So you can work together only if you are you push out of the draft the other car following you. If you have more than 1 second, you can work together in order to increase the gap. But it's useless to work together if the gap with the car that are following you is less than 1 second, because he can always recover the gap, and so I didn't care about the following cars. I only tried to battle and having fun with Dennis. And finally, in the last laps, yeah, we worked together because Tim was far away enough to increase our gap working together. But it happened only in the last 4 laps, I think. I let him pass, and he let me pass 1 time in order to have the great final battle in the last lap.
No, it was terrific, mate, and a really good clean racing, as you and Alex both said. You're looking forward to next week, I guess, mate. Two in the bag so far. You'd be pretty pleased with how all that's going, and I guess, you know, you set the bar so high, you've got to come every week now.
What's the next track? I don't know. I didn't look at the schedule.
Circuit Zolder.
Oh, chicane hell.
The chicane, absolutely.
Chicane and jump. You can jump there in a very funny way. Yeah, I like Zolder. I think I will be here the next week because then I have to go away for work. So I have to do most race I can before go away. And I hope Dennis will be here to have a nice great battle with him.
Look, I'm sure he won't be too upset with you going away, because based on how things are going now, you having a week off is just going to give the rest of them a bit of a chance.
Yeah, I will go away for 2 weeks or 3, so no problem. I can drop and I can back again to try to win the series for the 3rd time.
No, it's terrific racing tonight, mate. Well done again. And look forward to seeing you again next week.
Well, before we let you go, mate. Before we let you go, I just thought I'd let you know that I don't know if you've got your eyes on the overall official season as well, but we had the top soft of the week here. So you've bagged, well, I think a great hatful of points, around 214 points for the official season, which will have been the top points haul for the week. So that stands you in good stead once again, mate.
Great. I was wishing this because I saw that this week there weren't so much ice softs, but it will be impossible for me to have a chance to win the championship because generally the ice soft of the week are at 2 a.m. o'clock for me, so I am sleeping in bed and I can't do the race, and so I can be in the first position for a while, but I think I will give up in the future. So yeah, I'm happy, but I don't care about the official series. Finally, let me do some thanks to my team.
Yeah, please go ahead, Enzo.
Toastmaster, TRL, Cube, them, my team manager Fabio Mantellini, and all my teammates. Yesterday we won the 24 hours of at Le Mans. We finished first and third in the prototype, I think, and 15 GTA. So really great success for our team, and I'm very proud to be part of it.
Excellent result, mate, both here tonight and last night. Those events are hard to take out, mate, and a great team spirit, no doubt. So congratulations again, mate. And, well, off to have lunch, I no doubt, and spend some time with the boy, I hope, and hopefully we'll see you again next week, mate.
Yeah, I hope to. See ya, guys.
See you, mate. Well, there you go. That was Enzo Cantor, our race winner for this evening. He's an avid competitor here, and as we pointed out, the top soft of the week here. Enzo's taken out the official season for the Skip Barber a couple of times, and largely on the back of his great performances here at Monday Night Lights. This platform that this race provides for people wanting to have a shot at the overall season is outstanding, and primarily we do it for the local guys, the ANZ club, to have a crack, but it's fantastic to see some of the overseas, the top drivers in the world coming to join us here and taking advantage of that too, Tim.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a great platform for a lot of Aussie racers who don't often have the opportunity to to race against really, really good competitors. It is that platform, and as you saw tonight, we had a fantastic field. And, we had outstanding racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got another member of the on-field or on-track fraternity there waiting in the green room, Tim Hendrickson. I'll bring him up to say good day. Tim Hendrickson, Alex McKellar here in the RRTV commentary booth, mate. Welcome to the booth. Quite an action-packed race for yourself. Plenty of fun and looking racing up in that front pack before, a couple of little bumps and scratches, so to speak, so you drop off. But how was the racing for you out there tonight, mate?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Yeah, that was great fun. Shame about the contact I had with Luke, but apart from that, that was incredible.
Yeah, it really was, mate. There was the front pack there of 4, and there was a hotly contested pack of up to half a dozen, just that sort of few seconds behind you once the gap opened up. But look, this track, I think, brings out some fantastic racing, and you guys put on every bit of that tonight. So, 4th place for you tonight. I'm sure you're not terribly unhappy with that, but still, the action on track certainly made up for the result, right?
Yeah, I mean, after that contact with Luke, my car was a bit iffy. I had to counter steer pretty much every corner, so it was pretty much like driving on ice. So it's pretty much the best result I could achieve with this car.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, mate, I'll hand you over some questions from the other Tim, Mr. Gorkrotcher.
Mate, to be honest, come on, don't be like that. No, a good result. P4 is pretty handy, but I felt for the most part of the race you were just biding your time, waiting for the right opportunity, and ready to pounce, I guess. That didn't come.
I was nice and comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Saving petrol, I think, is
Yeah.
keeping costs down, but it didn't end up that way, which is rare for you because we know you're well and truly in the 5,000 I rating.
Like Mr. Johansson says, I'm very good with the draft.
yeah. No, look, we know you've got good pace here, so I'm sure personally a little bit disappointed you didn't have the chance at the end of the race to mingle with Enzo and Dennis, but fantastic to have you out in the M&L series, and we hope that you join us again next week.
I hope so. Like, daylight savings changed yesterday, so it's a bit of a bad time for me, but I hope to do more, definitely. It's always great fun.
Yeah, it is, and look at the few guys and race with pretty regularly. And I don't know what it is, why you want to hang out with us Aussies. It must be a bit of fun. It is, mate, it's terrific to have you join us. And
you guys are just great.
You're too kind, but 4th tonight, mate, was a great effort. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, mate, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Oh, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Blue and Orange Racing, the best racing team in the Skippies. And yeah, that's it.
Excellent. All right, mate. Well, congratulations once again, and hopefully we'll see you back next week.
Bye.
See you, mate. What a crack up Tim Hendrickson is. Doesn't mind a joke. And I'll tell you, he'd be so disappointed he didn't get a chance to put a move on Dennis or Enzo.
Yeah, well, that's it, mate. It was not quite his night tonight, but certainly by the sounds of it, he was gritting pretty much in the cockpit, right? Because the racing was so fantastic, tight and hard up the front, and look, these things happen. You had a bit of contact there with Luke towards the end of the race, and that really put him out of it. He said his car was a bit damaged, but no doubt a ton of fun as these races can be.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think we missed his bingo with Luke, but couldn't have been too bad. They only finished 2 seconds off of Enzo and Dennis, and maintained the gap 5 or so seconds ahead of Ben and Sammy. So didn't look too severe, but you just can't get around a track without costing yourself 3, 4, 5 tenths when your steering wheel's not pointed straight. So I think he'd be pretty happy with 4th. Despite having the pace to mix it up the front.
Yeah, that's right. I managed to go back and grab a replay, so we did miss out on too much. Luke ran wide on the exit as a result, but look, yeah, great race in the end. Thanks to everyone that turned up and made it what it was. Strongest race of the week. Plenty of points and iRating on offer for those who managed to have a crack. Speaking of which, just shout out to the guys in the second split tonight. Simon Dopp took out the second split. Not familiar with Simon, but certainly Mick Gray in P2. Another great Monday Night Lights supporter. Great result for Mick on his charging way back, hopefully, to a regular top split berth in the weeks to come. Ben Seidel, Seidel, apologies Ben if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, was in third. He was a racer way back when Monday Night Lights was first kicking around. He's had a break, but I was talking to Ben last week, and he's really excited to be back amongst it. So great to see him get a good result, P3 in the second split. Brad Park and John Skoltz in P4 and 5 respectively. Mark Jeffrey in P6, all regular Monday Night Lights and active ANZ club participants in the skippies, all the way down to the likes of Les Peck in P9 and Ken Himes in P11 and Simon Chambers, many of you will know from the Australasian Super Skips, having a rough night down in P13, just out of the points, but plenty of action there in the second split as well. Of course, we only get a chance to broadcast the top split, but fantastic to see the guys all there battling it out, no doubt in similar circumstances to what was going on here tonight. In fact, just 0.3 of a second between first and second in that race as well. So quite tight and action up the front by the sounds of it down there as well there, Timmy.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a bit of a corker in the second split. Those guys normally race with their elbows out, but it is I guess a good building ground for those guys as they gain iRating to make their way up to the top split. And some of them have been there before, as we don't have stronger weeks, stronger SOF, but those guys will make it up and get a bit of coverage on YouTube as races are televised, and I'm sure they'll enjoy their racing more as they continue to race from now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as we round up this evening's broadcast, folks, of course, next week we'll be back at Zolder. But congratulations once again to all the participants tonight, and particularly to our podium getters, Enzo Cantor, Dennis Johansson and Luke Witten. Fantastic effort from those guys tonight. And throw in Tim Hendrickson for his P4 up there in the front pack. Before I go, who did you have for driver of the night, mate?
It's a tough one. There was no one who really came through, and last week we had a handful of guys who made up a significant number of positions. I think it was Ben Snell I nominated last week who made up 15 places or something crazy. But it's got to go to Enzo tonight for his second win of the series. He held off an extremely fast Dennis, and they battled the whole race along. I don't think it can go to anyone else.
Yeah, look, I'd probably go along with that. I'd probably hand out 2 for both Enzo and Dennis. They put on a great show. Look, there was such great racing throughout the pack. The biggest mover of the night was Kevin Henderson, as it turns out, up 4 spots. But, even Tim Hendrickson up 3, qualified in 6 and up to 3rd, up the pointy end of the field. That's really tough to do. So congratulations to him too. But I'd go along with you with Enzo, and I'd probably chuck in Dennis as well. I thought they raced particularly well and showed what, good racing can look like up the front in those close closing stages. So congratulations to them. But for now, folks, we'll sign off. We'll be back from Zolder next week. Myself, I'll be racing at the Top Split TV Twitch channel on Friday and Saturday nights, if not before. Can we see you out and about anywhere this week, Timmy?
Look, I don't mind Zolder. I like those chicanes. It's a track that's super easy to get off tracks. So you don't see too many people getting through unscathed. You know, to have 0x is unheard of. But I don't mind that place. So I'll probably get out through the week. Saturday night, Sunday morning are good times to race. You get plenty of people, 100-car field sort of thing. So yeah, I'll be on at some point across the weekend for sure.
Beautiful. So, if not there, folks, come back and see us right here next Monday night, 9:15 Australian Eastern Time, GMT plus 11 until daylight saving kicks in and bends my brain once again. But until next time, we thank RRTV once again for this magnificent platform, always through the great Bernie Weemers, who, once again, I'm stunned. It's like letting the lunatics run the asylum here tonight. He's let us free of the booth once again. But until next week, folks, I will sign off on behalf of Tim Gorkrotcher and say ciao for now.